Welcome everyone to today's video. We're the Dimitrov Boulay piano duo. My name is Dimitri Dimitrov.
And my name is Elvira Boulay.
And in today's video, because we saw on Facebook several people asking, how do you find a good teacher? We thought it would be nice to shoot a quick video. Well, quick in our terms is at least 10 minutes. Quick video on the subject, how to choose a good teacher.
And before we start off, I just wanted to say that it is difficult to find a good teacher. We know a lot of good teachers out there, but we also know a lot of bad teachers out there, to be honest. And just because somebody is a good musician doesn't make them a good teacher. You have to realize that there are bad teachers there because a lot of musicians teach out of necessity. They teach because they need to pay the bills. So our first tips would be, just before we get started, make sure to take your time and make sure to be aware that even if you have a good musician, it can be a bad teacher. So take your time to find a good teacher.
Now, I've made a few points that I wanted to share with you that Elvira doesn't know about, because we find it actually very interesting to shoot videos like this when we don't know what we're going to talk about. And one of the first points that I thought about is, the first and most important thing is, even though it will sound funny, is you have to actually really decide if you really want a teacher. Because there's people out there that they think that they want a teacher, but at the same time, they have a very strong opinion of how they want to develop, what they want to play, how they want to practice. You have to make sure that you really know that you want a teacher, because why I'm saying this, if you choose to have a teacher, you're choosing to trust somebody. You're choosing to follow the advice of that someone. So make sure that you really think in advance, are you ready for that, or do you want to follow your own path?
I love that point. I love that you actually mentioned that. I didn't think about it myself.
No.
But it's really true. I had something similar in that sense, that you should think about your goals and you should find a teacher that aligns with your goals. So I think it's exactly the first point, if you even want a teacher, and then second of all, what are your goals? If your goals are to be playful and to not care so much, not be that disciplined, you shouldn't find a very serious teacher. So I think that's a great idea.
Now, one of the beautiful things about living in the times we're living in is that you have so much information. So one of the first practical things that I would do if I was looking for a piano teacher is to check their education, see where they studied, what they did. The second thing I would check is how active they are. What are they doing? Are they playing concerts, for example? Are they being active musicians? Then after that, what are they doing online? You can actually see, like with us, you can see us making videos, you can see us playing, you can see us practicing, you can see so much of what we do. And that helps a person who is looking for a teacher, because you're not in the dark about the person that you're choosing. You're just not going somewhere and paying a school or paying somebody that you don't know what you're going to get. You can explore a lot and learn a lot about the person before you choose him or her as a teacher. When I was thinking about the points I wanted to make, it seemed to me like you're closing the circle. You start with deciding, do you want a teacher? The second thing is you start narrowing the circle and exploring the education, how active they are, what they're doing. The third thing, that's when you're closing the circle, is, let's say that you're already narrowing down to some teachers. You have to ask yourself already a little bit more personal question. Do you like their style? Do you like the way they play? Do you like the way they talk? Do you like the way they explain things? Do you like the way they approach music, knowledge, understanding about music? So the circle becomes closer and closer. It becomes a little bit more personal now.
And I think it is nice to be aware, because when you know nothing about piano or you know nothing about music, it's nice to be aware that there are so many different approaches to piano and to teaching. So it's not like you find the piano teacher in your village and you're set. You can find somebody that really suits you, exactly that you like, how they explain, because there's just a world of difference between teachers in so many things. The fact that, for example, if you take 10 teachers that can all play piano really well, they're going to have 10 totally different teaching styles. And I think especially if you don't know anything, you go into wanting a piano teacher, but you don't know anything, just as good to be aware of that fact.
People very often talk about a click, a match. And while that already sounds like a big cliche, is like they say, cliches are there for a reason because they're true. I think you need to have a click, you need to have a match, you need to have that aha moment with your teacher, because it's like going into a relationship with somebody. Yes, it's not a romantic relationship with somebody, but nevertheless, it is a relationship. And that's why I said that from the very beginning, right? You are going to follow that person, so you have to have this kind of trust in that person. And so that's why it's very important that you also, from aside from the wider circle, like I explained, the practicality of things, right? Everything we mentioned already. Now, when the circle is closing, it's becoming a more and more personal experience. So when you listen to me talk and explain about music, explain about different things, when you hear me play, you might have that, oh wow, I really understand what he's saying or what she's saying, and I really like the way they explain things. Or you might be like, I can't wait to turn this video off and move on to the next. And that's absolutely fine, because you have to have somebody that you really like. So I would say one of the points that I'm making is, make sure that you also have kind of intuitive, kind of a very personal yes or no towards a specific person after you know all the things about them and after you've seen some things from them.
Yes, and I would add, don't be too nice in that sense. Be absolutely trusting to yourself. I would never ever mind if somebody doesn't click with me. Probably that feeling is mutual. So probably that would be much more difficult for me to teach as well. So trust yourself. Don't try to please another person. Don't try to please the teacher. Don't worry what he or she might think if you say after a tryout lesson, it's not going to work for me. Don't worry about that. Just leave all of that aside, because it is an important decision. Usually you would stick with a teacher for many years, and you want to get the most out of that, what Dimitar said, out of that relationship.
Yeah, and there was something, because you were talking about this, there's one little thing, one little issue that you have to watch out for. You might be so nervous in your first lesson that you might not know. So even though I'm talking about a click, it might not happen. Like, you know the person, you like what the person is saying, everything we mentioned, but that first lesson you might be so nervous that you don't know. So I'm not so sure that it's possible, like right away from the lesson, that you're thrilled because there is a lot of information. What do you think about that? I was thinking, because if you're very nervous, the actual experience of having a lesson. But
that's a very interesting point.
I'm not so sure about that. This is just that something just popped in my mind now. So it's nothing to do with preparing for this video or saying things. But I was just wondering, like, even if I like that person, like how he explained, I might be so nervous. But I think still you will feel
it.
Yeah.
If I can give an example, because a few years ago I decided I wanted to start learning the violin, and I looked for a teacher, and of course you are nervous in your first lesson and it's all very strange, but I knew
What was
immediately.
your experience? Oh, you knew.
I knew
Okay.
because I went to 2 different teachers. I looked especially on the internet. I wanted an active musician, and I knew immediately for sure
okay.
who I clicked with. So I think that, but that maybe depends on your personality. If you have any thoughts on that, we'd love to hear from you in the comments.
This is something, again, very practical. So you've chosen the teacher, everything we went through. What to me is extremely important is explanations and results. You need to have those. A teacher who isn't able to explain to you things is not a good teacher. I can say that it's just black and white. A teacher who is going to tell you, just do this, but doesn't give you the information, or you're wondering, why should I do this? And you ask, but he can't explain, and he just says, just do it. It's good like that. It's not a good teacher. A good teacher should be able to explain to you why you have to do something, for what reasons. A good teacher is going to look to solve your particular problem. He's not going to throw solutions at you and just says, you can do this, or you can do that, or you can do that. He's going to also, with those solutions, he's also going to say why. So that's a good teacher, because he really looks at your problem and he's thinking with you. For example, what I always do with my students is, if they have a problem, I can very, very easily say, just do this. But I also I ask them sometimes that they're like confused, because I say like, can you play that again? Can you play that again? They're like, okay, now are you going to give me a solution? But I want to see where exactly the problem comes from, because with each person is something different. It can be a memory, it can be nervousness, it can be, who knows what it can be. It can be even the way they're sitting. I discover sometimes things after months, different details about a person. So a teacher has to really look at your own problems and think with you and give you explanations. If you are not gaining knowledge over the course of, I don't know, whatever amount of time, you need to give it time, of course. Like with anything, it's like you mentioned something earlier in the video, that it's a dedication for years. You don't choose a teacher for a month and then you move on to the next. But if you don't gain knowledge, and together with that, if you don't see results, that means that something is off. I'm all about gaining knowledge and gaining results. The reason that I give lessons is because I enjoy to see results. The reason that you're having lessons is because you want to have results. So if you're not having results, if you're not progressing, if you're not understanding things better and learning things and thinking already for yourself, that means that something isn't good. And that will be my last point, because I think it's also a very practical point. You need to see understanding and results. I don't know what you
absolutely.
think, or what you want to add.
Absolutely. No, I think that there are other things that, I could add, but I think that already was quite a bomb of information, and I think that would set you up for already, I think, a good search, and I think that you can find a good teacher if you follow a little bit these guidelines, or at least if you think about them.
Definitely in a couple of weeks or months we'll make another video that will add a few more things.
Yeah.
On these subjects, because of course there is more in details that we
there are more things, of course, because like most subjects, there's a lot to say.
Yeah.
But I think that you can definitely get started and let us know what you think. Let us know if it was helpful.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear your comments, and maybe about your experience with finding good or bad teachers, because that's information. We don't know everything, and we're also learning along the way. We know quite a lot. But it's nice to hear experiences, because I don't know, like, you never know. You can hear something that we've never thought was possible.
Absolutely.
So feel free to let us know. Write anything in the comments below. We always, when you ask for a video, we schedule it. We take notes, and at some point we answer your questions. So ask anything you want. Follow us on Facebook. We upload there. Follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to support our YouTube channel. We're thankful, by the way, to everyone who subscribed so far, because our YouTube channel is growing, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for supporting us. For us, as always, recording this video was a great pleasure, and we'll see you next week again.